Hey everybody, my name is Brandon. Welcome back to Cinefessions, where we talk all things media, and welcome to another Criterion Collection haul. So most of you watching will know July and November are the months out of the year where we can pick up Criterion titles for 50% off. Thanks to Barnes and Noble, and nowadays thanks to Amazon as well, because they price match basically what Barnes and Noble is doing. And so that's what we're looking at today. Now, admittedly, July is typically the month where I go really hard into Criterion, and I think I probably had double this in July, but I didn't expect to pick up as many as I've grabbed. I have 10 titles here today. I thought maybe I'd get about half of that, but as you do, things start snowballing, and so here we are at 10 titles. So let's get into this. Before we do though, if you have a quick second, go and hit that like button down below. That engagement really does help me out. But with that said, let's not waste any more time at all. Let's dive right into my latest Criterion Collection haul. So this first one is actually cheating a little bit because I found this one a couple of weeks ago at Disc Replay. It was used, so I spent even less than the $20 on this. I think this was like $12 if I'm not mistaken, but it's actually an Ingmar Bergman film. We have spine number 139, Wild Strawberries. So I didn't really know much about this one other than it being a Bergman film, but it sounds pretty interesting. Our main character is coming toward the end of his life, and so he's kind of reminiscing on things in the past, and it's gonna obviously, snowball from there a little bit, but that's kind of the premise here. So, sounds interesting. Frankly, the reason I got this is because it's Ingmar Bergman. I do have a couple of his films in my collection, but not very many, and I've decided that I want to watch, 3, 4, 5 of Bergman's films to really figure out if I love him or not before I buy that Criterion Collection box set of his. But I've heard really great things about this. I think Persona is probably what I always hear as his best film universally. But Wild Strawberries is supposed to be pretty darn good as well. Let me know if this is your favorite Bergman down below. I would love to hear about it. But yeah, I'm hoping I'll enjoy this one from 1957. Spine number 139 from Disc Replay. Like I said, like $12. We have Bergman's Wild Strawberries. All right, so let's get into the titles proper here. So this is one I actually picked up just a few minutes ago. I went up to my Barnes & Noble because there were 2 titles that I was looking to pick up before I did this video. They said they had them in stock, but of course they had none of them, which that Barnes & Noble by me has been very annoying lately because every time I go up there looking for a specific title, they don't have it. That happened the first time I went up there as well. And apparently after talking with someone today, they had a ton of theft recently. And so they don't know that a title is missing until someone like me goes up and asks for it and they realize that it's been stolen. So unfortunately I didn't get those 2. That said, I might pick those up or I might just wait until either another flash sale or July. I'm not entirely sure, but I don't think you're going to get another Criterion Collection haul later this month, but who knows? It'll probably just be in my regular haul if I do pick those up anyway. Anyway, I'm talking about nothing. This is spine number 1023, The Cremator. And this is actually a Czech film from 1969. And it's supposed to be like a darkly comic satire. And so I am very intrigued to check it out. I've heard, so there's a new they're not a new YouTube channel, but they're new to me. I've been following them just over the past few days here, called The Misfit Pond. And this was one that was recommended in one of their haul videos. And it sounds really interesting. I was just looking at the screenshots of it, and it definitely looks like something that's up my alley. My grandfather was actually a mortician, and so that's the role that our main character plays. So I'm just intrigued to check it out and see what it's all about. I think it had like a 4.2 on Letterboxd, which is the reason I decided to grab it. So even though I didn't get the 2 movies I wanted, this was definitely one I was happy to add to the collection. So excited to check out The Cremator. I'm saying it right? Like, I think it's called The Cremator, but let me know if I'm wrong. Anyway, this one is from 1969, spine number 1023. So I was recently watching some of the Criterion Collection closet picks from some people that I knew, and I believe this one was recommended by Patton Oswalt. It was one of his picks. He called it the first cannibal film. And of course, I'm a horror fanatic. I love exploitation films. Like, I have to check this out. So this is spine number 415, The Naked Prey. And this one is directed by Cornell Wilde from 1965. So I guess what happens here is it's the early 19th century. There's this ivory hunting trip that that offends some of the South African hunters. And so the colonists end up capturing them. And there is one guy who escapes and he's trying to survive as they are after him. So sounds very interesting. Honestly, typically I don't like cannibal movies when I watch them. I love the idea of like the exploitation nature of things, but I don't always enjoy them. So I'm thinking this one might be a little bit different, but yeah, excited to check this one out. This is The Naked Prey from 1965, spine number 415. I believe this was the last Roman Polanski film that I needed in my collection that's available through Criterion. This is Cul-de-sac. So this is from 1966, spine number 577. And the real reason I wanted this, outside of it being, I think, one of the last or the last Polanski film I didn't have in my collection, but it stars Donald Pleasence, of course, from Halloween is where I know him best. But like anything with Donald Pleasence, I'm super interested in checking out because he's a phenomenal actor and just one of my like cult favorites thanks to Halloween. So yeah, very much looking forward to checking this one out. I've heard really good things about it, so I have pretty high expectations, especially with that cast. So this is Cul-de-sac from 1966, spine number 577. Here's a movie that I had no intention of picking up until I was watching the Misfit Pond videos on the Criterion Collection, and they called it a masterpiece. Multiple people in their videos called it a masterpiece, and it's one that a buddy of mine recommended a while back, and so I figured, you know what? Let's check it out. I'm sure there's something to it. So this is spine number 1108, The Celebration, which is the weirdest Criterion cover I have ever seen because there is no cover. It's so odd. But anyway, this one is from 1998 and it's like, I forget what the actual... It's Festen. There it is. I was looking for the actual name of it. It's called Festen. So this is a Danish film. And yeah, I don't know too much about it. And I'm going to keep it that way. I remember I watched the trailer for it a couple like months back, maybe in July or maybe last November. And it didn't, I don't know, it just looked kind of strange. So I didn't end up getting it. But everything I've heard about it since has changed my mind. And so I wanted to pick it up and see what it's all about. And again, that cover, the lack of a cover is just so odd to me. So I'm excited to see what this one is all about. This is the Danish film, The Celebration, aka Festen, spine number 1108. This next one was odd because I bought it from Amazon new, and actually there was like another percentage off, so I only paid $19 for this as opposed to $20, but it ended up coming in like a plastic bag and it was already open, so it was so strange. But this is Tokyo Story. So because everything was still there and looks brand new, I just decided to hold on to it as opposed to doing a return. But yeah, anyway, this is spine number 217 from 1953, and this is an Ozu film. I think this will be the first Ozu film I end up checking out. This, or I believe Good Morning is also Ozu, and I've heard great things about that. That's one I've been contemplating getting, but I kind of want to see it before I do, so I'm holding off. But anyway, Tokyo Story is supposed to be one of the greatest films of all time, and the thing that pushed me over the edge is when I found out that this is actually a remake of Make Way for Tomorrow, another film in the Criterion Collection that I watched earlier this year, no, last year I guess it was, and it is utterly phenomenal. One of my favorite films from the Criterion Collection. It is brilliant in every way. And this story, or that story, is retold in Tokyo Story. I have to see this. This is probably going to be the first one I watch from this batch just because I loved Make Way for Tomorrow so much. Shout out to John over at PlatX2. Thank you, John, for recommending that movie because it was absolutely brilliant. But I didn't know that Tokyo Story was a retelling of that, so I'm absolutely checking this one out. The second I found that, I added it to my Amazon card. So very happy to add Tokyo Story from 1953, spine number 217 to the collection. I'm about to talk about the Criterion Collection closet picks again, because that's where this last Blu-ray I picked up comes from. But I need to mention, I talked about Naked Prey. That was not Patton Oswalt. That was Gaspar Noé, however you say his name. That's who recommended that one. This one, though, was recommended by Paul Dano. And he called out the fact that there's a scene in here that is performed by River Phoenix that is just one of the greatest things he's ever seen. So I had to pick it up. This is spine number 270. Is that 277? Yes, 277. 277 from 1991, My Own Private Idaho. So not only do you have River Phoenix, but you have Keanu Reeves in this. And I've always wanted to see this. This was one that was always on my radar to pick up, but I never did. So because of that closet pick, I decided to go ahead and pull the trigger on it. Cannot wait to check this out. River Phoenix is supposed to be just amazing in this. So very excited to see what this one is all about. So again, from 1991, spine number 277, My Own Private Idaho. This is a Gus Van Sant film that I cannot wait to check out. So let's jump over to the 4Ks I picked up now. And the first one here looks like a survival film that sounds super fascinating. Have always been interested in it. This was one I was going to grab back in July, but I held off. So this time I decided, you know what? It's time to pick up Walkabout. So this is from 1971, spine number 10, so the youngest of the spines I've talked about today. But yeah, but this is a Nicholas Roeg film. I might be saying that wrong. But yeah, basically like there's this brother and sister who their dad or their stepdad takes them out to the outback to kill them. He fails, he kills himself, and then they're trying to survive this outback. And it just sounds fascinating to me. Like I have to see this movie. So that's why I decided, you know what? Now's the time to pull the trigger. The colors in this look amazing from the screenshots. I can only imagine how cool this 4K looks. Cannot wait to check out Walkabout from 1971, spine number 10. Now this one is a Patton Oswalt pick. He calls it the greatest film from the 90s. Not only that, but it was reviewed by 20th and 21st Century Movies. I always mess up his channel name, but he's excellent. He reviewed it back in July when it came out, and he really enjoyed it. One False Move. So this is from 1992, spine number 1187, and you have Bill Paxton in here, which is frankly enough for me, but on top of that, you have Billy Bob Thornton in here as well. So like, this should be really good. This is a crime thriller that, again, I've heard nothing but really good things about. This is directed by, who directs this one? Carl Franklin, who did, I want to say like Devil in a Blue Dress as well. Again, I will correct myself if I'm wrong, but I believe that's another one that Franklin did. But anyway, looking forward to checking this out. I've heard great things about both the 4K transfer and the film itself. One False Move, 1992, spine number 1187. The last one I grabbed, I filmed a second ago, and I was just going on too much of a rant, so I'm going to talk about this one, and then I'm going to go on my rant. But anyway, this is spine number 1180, Thelma and Louise from 1991. So this was one that I wanted to pick up back in July, but I couldn't find one in store, and I never ended up ordering it off of Amazon. This time, I tried to pick it up in store again, which is going to be part of my rant coming up here in a few minutes, but I had to order it through Amazon to get a good edition of it, which is not something you often say, but was true in this case. And so I've heard nothing but incredible things about this release. I love this movie. At least I did when I saw it years ago, but it's been so long. Frankly, this one will feel like a first-time watch for me because it's been so long since I've seen it, but awesome cast in this, and it's a Ridley Scott film. Had to add it to the collection finally. So the last pickup today is Thelma and Louise, spine number 1180 from 1991. All right, so there is my stack of 10 items from the Criterion Collection sale. Technically 9 and then 1 from Disc Replay, but either way, it's 10 items, and that's a really fun stack of films that I cannot wait to experience most of them, if not all of them, for the first time. So I'm very excited to get into those. But before I leave you guys, let me go on a quick little rant, and it has to do with this one here. So not only did I go to Barnes & Noble the second time today looking for items they didn't have, which is super frustrating in itself, the first time I went, I tried to get Thelma and Louise, but every single one of them were in those spider wrap locks, which if you know, you know. Like, they are the absolute worst because when it's a softer box like this, they tighten that spider lock on and it causes damage on all 4 sides of the release. There has to be a better way to do that. People who are going to Barnes & Noble to purchase Criterion Collection items, they are collectors. They don't want to spend $50 or, of course, in this case, $25 on damaged goods. It makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. I actually asked one of the employees if they had one in the back that they could give me that wasn't damaged, and they looked at me like I was an idiot and said, no, they can't do that because of the price. I assured them they could take it up to the front themselves if they wanted to. I just don't want to pay $25 for a damaged item. again, they thought I was an idiot and said they didn't have any more. So it is what it is. So I turned to Amazon, and that's how I got it in mint condition, which again, you don't typically turn to Amazon if you want something in good condition, but in this case, they came through. So it frustrates me so much. Barnes & Noble, I want to give them my money, but they made it extremely difficult this time around, advertising that they had movies in stock that they, of course, did not. There was like 4 or 5 movies I was looking for that they said they had in stock that they didn't. Now, 3 of those I just turned to Amazon for. The others, I will wait either later this month, I'll try a different Barnes & Noble, or I will wait until next year. Just depends on what happens. But why damage a collectible item like that? It just makes no sense to me. There has to be a better answer to prevent theft than damaging the materials that you're trying to sell. It just makes no sense. Anyway, rant over. Let me know what your thoughts are on that down below. And let me know anything else you think about this Barnes & Noble sale, Amazon sale, the Criterion Collection sale down in the comments. Let me know, most importantly, what you picked up and any other recommendations you might have for me. But that is going to do it, guys. So if you enjoyed this one, go and hit that like button down below. That engagement really does help me out. And like I always say, I don't just talk movies. I talk all things media, books, movies, video games, graphic novels. If it's media related, I'm interested in it. And if you are too, you might consider subscribing. All right, guys. So that's going to do it for today. I just want to say thank you all so much for watching. And I want to encourage you to consume some media today. I'll catch you next time.